What's up, otakus? It's your SuperOtaku here. We're going live on a Wednesday night. I didn't just get, I had my Cairo session earlier this evening. Usually Wednesdays after work or when I go in. And I didn't usually get like an adjustment or something, but I've been kind of taking it easy with the whole back thing as of late because I have that PRP injection coming up, and yeah, I just want to go into that kind of feeling as trying to feel as best I can. It's pretty much the way I'm approaching that. So yeah, just kind of took it light at Cairo this week. Um, got a little bit of massage in, and the back's been it flared up a couple times. You know, like on Tuesday, it flared up a little bit. This morning, it felt a little tight, and but actually, when I went to work, it wasn't too bad. And even tonight, it's not feeling too bad. So yeah, like it has its good days and bad days, and days was more of a okay day. So I'm hoping this continues into next week when I go in to get the procedure. And I'm very apprehensive about it. I know everybody's been kind of, um, my doctors have been trying to like assure me that, um, there may be some residual soreness, but it's nothing like it's not going to be debilitating essentially. Um, so yeah, I'm just trying to, I don't know. I just don't like the idea of like a big needle going into my back, but you know, it is what it is. And anyway, it's happening. So um, if you don't see me after Monday of next week, you kind of know why. I'm hoping to go live that night, but we'll see how I feel. Yes, as you can see by the title of the video, we're picking favorites. We're kind of going through, and I've got two boxes here. I don't know if you can see them. We got a kind of a longer box and a short box. And these are all kind of overflow books to a degree. They're definitely books that I'm open to trading. Let's just put it that way. And then there are some books that I'm more apt to keep, or I'm more apt have a little bit more of a sentimental value. Um, and that's all we're doing. We're just kind of like putting the sentimental value books kind of in the box that I'm more apt to keep or less likely to trade and give away, and then kind of pushing the books that yeah, I really just don't have a lot of connection, or um, maybe the sentiment has changed between when I picked it up and when I have it now. Or maybe it was a book that I had always thought of like, we'll pick it up because of the value, but it's something we want to sell or flip or trade at some point. So there's a lot of those kinds of books, but there's also a lot of books that like at the time I was like, oh yeah, we definitely want this as part of our collection. We're very high on the book. So we're just kind of doing this exercise. And so I have the two books. the longer box book are is really the trade stuff, and I've kind of filtered it out loosely as to be like these are the books I don't really, that are up for trade, and then the shorter box is like the books of, oh, I don't want to get rid of them now. Maybe we'll keep them in the collection a little longer. Um, and that's kind of where they stand. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through both boxes and kind of put things like, oh, I want to keep this, and it kind of goes in the short box versus, oh, I really don't need this in my collection anymore, and I'm giving it sort of the stamp of like, yes, we're gonna definitely get rid of it, or we're gonna try to trade it. So, yeah, it's a kind of a fun, kind of a lazy Wednesday night kind of thing to do, um, as we kind of close out our Wednesday, I guess. Hope you guys are having a more exciting Wednesday than I am. I don't know. This is fun. This is stuff I like to do. Seems a little redundant because it's just like going over your books over and over and over again. I luckily have a collection that's small enough to where I can pretty much find what I need to find. Um, but yeah, and I will say that I've traded things away recently, like traded or sold, or I should say trade sold, because I would take that to my like LCS or something and get trade value for it. And we did that a couple times last year, and there were some books in there that, like, at the time we're like, oh, we're okay, we're giving this away, and now, like, I wish I'd kept them, a couple of them. There's always that risk, right? There's always that, which is why you want to really kind of figure out, like, do your due diligence to know and understand this isn't a book I really need in the collection, and I won't miss it, or I won't regret having given that away. The other thing that happened in some of these trades and kind of, uh, you know, yeah, they're essentially value trades, um, is I've given away some of the comics that were part of my original collection, things that I picked up at the time when I was collecting. So, I mean, we're going way back to, like, when I was in middle school or high school, college. I picked up a lot of stuff in college, um, which was like, what, 92 through 96. I want to say 92 through 95 was when I was really kind of into it. 96, 97, less so. I wasn't picking up as much stuff. And I fell out of it in 97, when I started working and whatnot. So, um, what I'm going to get going here is a little bit of a shared screen type thing, because as I go through the books, I'm just going to kind of share them with you, and I'll tell you which box it's going in. But yeah, I just mentioned some books that were, again, my buddy Jens, I did a trade with him. And in fact, he got a lot of I shouldn't say a lot, he got a few of my original collection books. And I think I mentioned to him, yeah, this was part of my original collection. And, he was, of course, he's a great guy, man. I really am blessed to have met him and gotten close to him. But he was, like, he said, hey, you don't have to trade this to me. If it's important to you as part of your original collection, you should keep it. And part of me was like, yeah, maybe I should keep it. But then another part of me was like, you know what? No, it's having something as part of your original collection is cool. But you also got to understand, like, I was what I was into, when I was collecting is not the collector I am now. So, it wasn't like I didn't, I kind of disassociated myself with having to keep a book just because it was something I picked up way, way long ago. Um, because I mean, there was like almost a 20-year period where I didn't even touch my comic books, right? It's like I had all these comic books. I kind of left them at my parents' place and I went off and did adult things and, led my own life. Um, I was in Asia for many years and then I got married. And again, I was kind of lucky enough to uh, get a lot of my collection back. And you know what? The first thing I did, I actually ended up, because there was like a big box of stuff, and these were just like worthless image, you know, dark horse, like 90s stuff. I like, a great example is like Ghost #1, Adam Hughes cover. Um, I just had a stack of books like that, just like a bunch of just kind of overprinted 90s image, uh, kind of Daredevil from the mid 90s, just books that would never really you know amount to much. I had a big box of it and it was just taking up space, so I just threw it out. I just kept all the stuff that I thought I would had value, right? And all this other stuff, it was like loose cannon #1. There's a like, or what's another, I'm trying to think. Some of the like technophage, I think it was called. It was like a Neil Gaiman independent book. Um, things like I don't know, like there were some Wet Works and a bunch of books like that. Just kind of worthless books, and I kind of threw it all out. And then when I threw it out, I immediately had this regret, like why did I do that? It's like, you know they're part of my collection. I should have kept them, and I just threw it out in the dumpster of all things. And I shouldn't have done that because I think there were a couple of bigger books in there, which, well, at the time when I threw it out, I didn't realize it, but there might have been a couple of books, not that they're big books, but a couple of books maybe I should have like kept, including some like Batman maybe and things like that. But all in all, yeah, like I did that. And I didn't have too much regret about it. Like, again, nothing of value. Just a lot of like kind of 90s fodder books. Um, and yeah, I think it's important to kind of like cut the cord on something just because it's been part of your original collection from when you were a youth. Um, it's not something you have to necessarily be married to, right? You can purge things at any time. But yeah, like I just, for example, case in point, here are some of the books from my original collection that I've just kept around all these years. And one is this just incredible Bill Sienkiewicz cover, Electra Assassin. This is a book, yeah, I got this in college. And this is actually a really good issue. It's, Frank Miller. Uh, it's Bill Sienkiewicz interior artwork. It's in this sort of like painted style as well. Um, really graphic. It's not targeted at kids, um, but it goes into sort of the unstable nature of Electra, kind of her origin story here. Um, and yeah, this is a really, I love this comic book, and this is just one of those books that, like, if I am being nostalgic about the original collection, I know this is not a valuable book, but to me, it's all about the artwork. And yeah, that's just one fantastic freaking cover. So, yes, this will be staying in my. I'm just looking at it now. I'm like, I would really regret trading this, or if it. I just, this would come back to haunt me at some point, because it is a book that I've read, um, and yeah, for all the obvious reasons, it's just a fantastic book. When I was collecting in the '90s, Jim Lee was always one of my favorite artists, but I was also a big X-Men collector, and especially in college, the artist who kind of took over the run for Uncanny was Joe Madureira, and I was a big. I'm sure, like many '90s collectors who were reading X-Men and collecting X-Men. Um, you guys are probably also Joe Madureira fans. And I just remember having a lot. I was like kind of collecting not only the X Men because I liked the X Men, but I was collecting X Men specifically to read um, read the comics with the Madureira art. Excuse me, and also pick up the Madureira covers. He had a really kind of anime style um, approach to, and then you look at how you know really I mean, these characters are just, they just pop as um, under the design of Madureira, you know. And Madureira is one of those guys who like got out of comic books. I think he was doing some stuff in like commercial design or something. Uh, he ended up, I think, designing some video game or like had a company that was doing stuff like that. Um, like Battle Chasers. That's his like company creation based off of all his design and animation, and really cool stuff. Like, but he got out of comic books and he was doing other artistic type stuff in video games and whatnot. And now he's kind of come back to comic books, I think. Um, and yeah, his stuff has always been for me, really really cool. Um, but I've also was just really cooled on his artwork too. Like, you know, 20-year-old college me looks at this and would have been like, yeah, yeah, I need more of this. And I look at it now and I'm just kind of like, I've cooled off on it. It's not as like, it's not what I remember. I do think there are artists who do it much better. And I think this kind of like style was kind of a period piece. This wouldn't necessarily speak to what's going on in comic books today or prior to this era, right? It was kind of like a niche '90s things. It's kind of in the vein of like the Todd McFarlane's, the Rob Liefelds. He had this very sort of like um, kind of uh, like over exaggerated, like larger than life, over exaggerated kind of caricatures of these heroes. And yeah, it's definitely like kind of feels dated, like you wouldn't necessarily want a comic book to look like this today. I don't know, maybe some people still think it's cool, but you know, like this Rob Liefeld's a great example. You know, this in the '90s when a kid, this was just like this was the bomb right here. And now as an adult, you're just like, where are the feet? I don't see no damn feet. That's the kind of transition you kind of make. But yeah, this is my original copy here, the cable card and everything. I only got one issue of this when it came out. And I know a lot of people who got like all the cards and all the editions. I just got the cable card. That was it. And I think I might have gotten another one and read it, like opened up and actually read it. But I kept this one polybagged with the actual card in it. So um, that's that. This is also uh, a series I got because I love the introduction of Angela in the Spawn, and this was a spin-off series. It was a like a mini series. Gaiman, Greg Capullo, goodness here, a three-part mini series, and man, is this good! This is good stuff right here. This is like you know again college age me just lapping this kind of stuff up. And yeah, like first off, you have Greg Capullo um, and the Todd father kind of setting the stage for what we'd see in um, Spawn and this series moving forward. And yeah, just some really incredible artwork, um, and really good storytelling by Gaiman. So yeah, this is something. Again, all these are um, these are books from my original collection. I might have picked up a few more issues of this, like doubles of this, but I think these issues here are my original issues. So um, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm not completely married to any of these things. They're just it does bring like extreme nostalgia. Like I'm open to getting like trading this one here. I'm not completely married to this. I do have the Deadpool card. Um, yeah, this one feels also like I'd want to keep it just for the nostalgia factor because I remember being really excited when I got this issue because it was such a hot issue. It's like everybody went out and got it and thought it was going to be like the next, Superman one or whatever. And it's literally in every collection, right? Like I hear sellers like complaining, like they literally run into like 10 to 20 copies of this in every collection. Um, this one maybe not as a little bit more niche on this one, I would imagine. I don't think everybody was running out to get Angela, but for sure, this was when it came out also a very hot book. Um, and yeah, if you like Capullo, this is like peak Capullo, I'd say. Like him starting on the Spawn run here, '94. That's as good as it gets right there. And then of course this is I mean, I must have like read this series a gajillion times. I love this Frank Miller, John Romita Jr. Uh, it's basically a condensed sort of origin slash uh, yeah, it's just a condensed version of like who Daredevil is. You know, it's like 4 issues of this is Daredevil, and it's really good. First off, and this is also I feel like that John Romita Jr. is just so on point. Um, his art, I don't know, his art's definitely can kind of feel these days like he's just writing it in. You know, he's like, or I should say, he's just kind of he's not doing his best work. But for this project, man, did he bring his A game? It's like just the panel work, the quality of the art, and it's definitely his style, unmistakably his style. Um, I just love this comic book. Um, in fact, I read it, I reread it um, when I got back into comic books and whatnot, and it was just as good as I remember it. Like it was just, you know, just I feel like Frank Miller is always going to have a good tone for the Daredevil character, and just really fits his style of. I mean, he essentially redefined Daredevil, and the Daredevil we know today is because Frank Miller uh, uh, essentially defined the character, redefined the character into something really compelling. You know, with the introduction of Elektra, Stick, um, really enhancing the fact that this guy's blind and he has this sort of like sonar type uh, vision, can kind of see things and sense things without sight, like better than meaning he can kind of like do superhuman things with his superhuman non-sight senses. It's really a incredible piece of work. So this is another book that's just like sentimentally a favorite of mine. It's not necessarily something I collect. Uh, I do like Daredevil, but I try not to collect Daredevil. Um, but yeah, I mean, these are the original books. It's like, you know, 1 through 4, I think, or 1 through 5, 5 issues. Um, yeah, I remember just reading these I never really opened it up to read it. Because I was conscious of the conditions, so I always kind of read it without opening them up and being very careful not to like ruin the conditions. So as you can see, they're still in great shape here. But yeah, this was 90s me. This is kind of like 90s me, what I read and kind of collected in a nice little hodgepodge to show what kind of definitely Marvel centric, right? I wasn't reading Superman. I wasn't reading um, the stuff I collect now. That's for certain. And then, of course, yeah, this is the kind of stuff as a collector you picked up, like Cable first, solo series, uh, collector's item, right? All of us picked that up. Stuff like this, same thing. Sabretooth #1, right? They must have introduced every character with a #1 issue: Rogue, Bishop, Gambit. I mean, you name it. There was Marvel just said, "Hey, if you're a character, we're gonna give you your own '90s series, and call it a collector's, you know, first issue, and sell the crap out of it." And so, yeah, these two are my original copies, and this one has a little bit of a condition issue, if I remember correctly. Um, Yeah, it's got like a spine issue here somewhere. I can't see it though. Somewhere there. Is that it? Looks pretty good. Yeah, it's not looking bad. Maybe you can't see it. Maybe that's it right there. Yeah, that's it. I think that's it right there. A little spine tick there. But yeah, this is like one of those books. Like I don't know. When I look at it, I just get very like protective of it. Um, it's just this like cardstock. It's got this like foil cable. It's like as '90s as you can get. With all this like foil embedded into a cardstock cover. And pretty sure the cards in here too, or something like that. I mean, this die cut cover with the Mark Teixeira artwork in the interior. This is just like peak '90s stuff, all part of an original collection. Um, that that for now we're gonna kind of tuck it away and try not to get rid of it right away. Obviously we're open to trading it. Well, we're open to trading some of it. Um, the electric cover is I've already tucked away, so the electric cover is staying. I guess all this stuff is technically available for sale or trade. But like if I'm not gonna get, I mean, what could I get for this? Right? No one's. You're not gonna give me what is this like? Maybe $2 a book, right? For the whole series, what's like $10? No, for that I would rather keep it and read from time to time. So yeah, I mean, unless I'm getting this too, like I don't think these are worth a lot, even though they should be. Um, and yeah, the cable, no one's gonna want this book. Like, I mean, if I traded this to you for like $2, would you take it? Probably not. So it's like, what's the point? So I'm just gonna like hang on to these because I don't think the sentimental value to me is worth more than what I would get in return. So it just doesn't make sense to trade them away for a few dollars when they do offer me a little bit of nostalgic sentiment. So for now, we're going to keep these. We are open to trading them, but again, highly unlikely given that they're not really valuable books and they are still probably more valuable as parts of my collection, original collection, than they are outside of my collection. All right, so let's get into this. We're doing more of this. Let's just start with a handful of books here. So essentially, what we're doing here is determining if it's going to go in the trade box or the. So if it's going to go in the we want to trade this box or we want to hang on to this a little longer box. They're both like technically trade boxes, but one's kind of more like, yeah, we're ready to dump these. The other's kind of like, well, let's hang on to these, um, you know, until we have to give them up, until we get to a point where like, okay, these are ready to go now. Let me cool off on that. The first thing I want to start with is actually a pretty valuable book, and this is a really hot key right now because of the success of the X-Men animated series. And it's a newsstand copy, first off. So the newsstand copy has quite a bit of higher value, and we're looking at like a really high grade copy. I mean, look at the spine here. It's really, really nice. Sharp corners. The only issue with this now, does have an issue, and it has a little bit. It's right here on the corner. I don't know if you can see it. You can see it right there. You see that corner? It breaks color. So that tiny, I mean, here's my thumb to compare the break, but it is a color breaking corner there. And that is kind of what would keep it from being really, really like a flawless. I mean, this, if it didn't have that, it would definitely be a 9.8. But with that little color break there, you know, this is still, I would say, a near mint book. I don't know. Some people might look at that and be like, no, 8.5, like a VF copy. I would look at that and be like, yeah, it's still technically, like, I'd probably give this a 9.2. I don't know if I'd give it a 9.4, but I'd give it a 9.2. It's a really kind of minor flaw for what is otherwise a really flawless book. And yeah, this is nostalgia for the kids that watch the X-Men Adventures. It's a big book now, given the success of the series. You got this nice Steve Lytle cover. This is available for sale or trade, so um, this is definitely going in the trade box because it again commands a pretty high value in this grade. I want to say it's at least $100 book, probably more. So definitely want to make it available to somebody who's wants to add it to their collection. So putting that in. We also have this. So a lot of the I picked up a lot of like cool cover art over the years, and everybody knows I'm a huge Michael Turner fan. And so I mean, this still has the 25-cent sticker on it. So I mean, it's not like it's going to command much. So, I'll just kind of throw it in with the trade because if it ends up being like a bulk trade thing, I'll just give it to the person I'm trading it to. But it is a pretty um, it's first off it is a key book in the sense that it's Fathom, the number one half. These are kind of like preview editions for the series, and it is a really, really cool um, cover here when you like get into the details and everything. It is a really cool cover. It's just that you know I just can't go around collecting every Michael Turner piece that I fall in love with, or else I could just really just build out the collection with his stuff. And I really do want to kind of curate if we're going to have Michael Turner artwork that we collect and have it part of the collection. I do want it to be like very curated pieces, and with the sticker there, and the condition of the book here. It's got a lot of spine ticks and whatnot. This is definitely, I think, one we can part with, even though it is a great cover, and that's pretty much the reason why we picked it up. So got $2. And, let's start with this one. I mean, I have a series of Wolverine books, and I have another book from my original collection, and this one was, when I picked it up back in the day, it was actually worth a lot because it was like, I think this was like just billed as three cool characters. That was probably was key. It was like Sabretooth, Wolverine, and Cable, like on the same cover. Yeah, this great Mark Silvestri cover. I mean, this was just like peak '90s collection stuff for me back in the day. Um, yeah, and we picked it up off the newsstand of all things in the '90s. That how crazy is that? But yeah, I remember this has just always been part of my collection, and also feel very nostalgic about it. So this is one I will keep in the collection. I'm gonna just keep it because when I look at it, I just remember, this is just one of the books that it was like a $25 book back in the day, and I just remember just like valuing that cover with the Cable and the Wolverine battle happening and all that. So yeah, that was always a pretty cool book. And again, part of my original collection. So um, I think if I'm gonna keep, I'm not tied to this Wolverine series, even though as a collector, I read and picked up a lot of these issues. Um, Case in point, right? Wolverine 2. This is not a part of my original collection, but I did have it back in the day. And this is Wolverine 2. This is just like, they kind of introduce the series and then they, you know, go full on Silver Samurai, um, adamantium versus adamantium, right? It's just um, really good stuff. And yeah, I feel like this can go into the trade pile as uh, as do all of these other ones. I've got, this is one of these is my original book. I think both of them are because I had multiple copies of this. So I think both of these are the original books. And I really should keep these because, again, these were big books when they first came out. This is the aftermath of Wolverine having all the adamantium extracted by Magneto. Um, you got the hologram, got the front and back, and yeah, I just feel like I should be more like, oh man, I should keep this in my collection because this is again when this came into the collection, you got to realize this was a huge key. It was like a $10 to $20 book when it first came out. Um, and of course, it changed the sort of the. It was a big development in the character, right? Wolverine had always had could stand behind his adamantium claws, and now he had these bone claws. He was more vulnerable. Um, this traumatized him both mentally and physically, right? So it really kind of changed the tone of the character. And he still remained badass, but it was like there was a transition period here. He left the team to kind of figure things out, and yeah, uh, it was a real test for the character. So um, these are my original copies, so I just kind of want to keep one at least. I'm fine with trading the other copy, but I kind of do want to keep one. So we'll keep them in the trade pile for now. But I kind of feel like I do want to keep at least one of the copies. I just recently picked up this one for 25 cents. Recently picked it up. Sorry, not 25 cents. I think 50 cents. Picked it up for 50 cents in Olympia. It's a high grade copy. Just a really cool Dan Mora cover. Um, and I could collect Dan Mora stuff. Like, I could collect it. I'm just trying not to. It's like, you know, it's like I got enough on my plate. I just can't. I'm sure you guys all feel that way too. There's just something like, no, I can't go down that rabbit hole. Otherwise, um, it just messes everything up. So yeah, I'll pick up some cool stuff like this to just have initially, but and enjoy. It's a terrific cover. But yeah, we can't. It's trade. It's basically trade material. This one too. You know, hey, I love me some Ernie Chan as much as the next guy. Ernie Chan covers are really underrated. But as far as like, yeah, it's a cool bicentennial cover. That is kind of cool. But as far as like, yeah, like where we have to draw the line, this is not stuff I need to have in the collection. And this is a high grade Bronze Age book, so I just figure, you know, this is probably going to just help fill somebody's run or bring more joy to a Dan Mora collector, whatever. These are definitely trade books here. And, they'll be done in the trade box. All right, now we've got some 90s, some night. Well, yeah, 90s goodness. Let's go over all the 90s goodness here first. Introduce other stuff. We've got actually this is late 80s goodness here. We got some Walt Simonson. That's an incredible cover. This is on the outside on the bag, so this is, pretty high grade book. Could use a press, obviously. Here you can see it's a little bit of a color break tick there, a couple of color break ticks, but still cool. Apocalypse key book here. Who stand? This is also part of my original collection. I had this book forever too, and I've had it forever in like with the bag and board, like the board in the middle of the book, so that you can see this great wraparound. And this is Adam Kubert goodness here, but it's also this special inker. So Adam Kubert and Los Bros Hildebrandt. Los Bros Hildebrandt, the brothers Hildebrandt. So you got this sort of like kind of realism type cover. And then, of course, you have this forefront. They're still battling. Really, really cool wraparound cover here. You get the bone claws. Wolverine's bone claws there kind of jutting out. Yeah, again, I've had this book forever, and I'm fine with getting rid of that. We've got some signed books. Got Sean Chen. We had him on the channel for API Heritage Month a while back. Yeah, we talk about a crossover, that Valiant Image crossover. That was a huge deal back in the day. So this is a Sean Chen cover. Or Sean Chen Interiors, I think. I don't know if it's a Sean Chen cover, but Sean Chen Interiors. And then we got Bernard Chang, who also, from the Valiant Squad, who also worked on this book. I think he also did the interiors of this book. So got two signed books by two Valiant legends. These guys worked with Bob Layton to start Valiant, and big, you know, big piece of 90s history right there. Yeah, when I got back into collecting, I definitely kind of I was nostalgic for all the X-Men stuff that I had read and collected as a kid. I mean, there's no bigger book than Mark Silvestri and Inferno with Madeline Pryor. I mean, this was just peak stuff when I was reading comic books. I've gone back and reread it. It's still good, but it's kind of, I don't know. It feels very. I think X-Men after some time, it just feels cliche, right? Like Claremont had been doing it for so many years. The characters kind of become, the writing kind of becomes, it loses its. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was a kid when I was reading these, but as an adult, it definitely just feels like we've been here, we've seen it, we've done that. It just feels like it's rehashing the same tropes over and over again. This is a really cool 90s book. Again, we picked this up as we got back into collecting. All of these are pretty high grade books, so I know X-Men's still big and a lot of people love it, so we're going to continue to give people some of this great name. This is a book I picked up as well. Really cool McFarlane cover here of Sabretooth. McFarlane with the hands here. You gotta always do some kind of hand work there. And then we've got, this is also my original copy. Really fantastic condition here. Ron Lim cover. I mean, I've had this book since it came out too. I mean, I got this in college. 90s book when Venom and Carnage were just huge. I mean, Carnage had its own video game. It was quite the event, Carnage. And I know the movie, I think, kind of, stole the thunder from the character, because didn't really have the kind of showing that you want to see between Venom and Carnage. But yeah, I mean, it's still Carnage, right? This series is, I think, still highly popular and sought after. So I'm fine to trading this book away if I get the value for what it is. It is a high grade copy here. I mean, given the circumstances, right? And it's been part of my collection for a very, very long time. So we also have Warming Comics Presents. This is the big key. I think this is underrated key, to be honest. First off, you got Walt Simonson Wolverine on the cover here, the cigar and everything. It's a wraparound. I forget what's on the back of this, but it's a wraparound cover. So, yeah. We also have two Spider-Verse, Gwen and Miles kissing cover. That's a classic cover, as well as I think this is the evil Miles, right? And for a long time we were made to believe like, oh, this might be the Miles we see in the third installment, but I think the third installment is going to be a little different. It's a Prowler, Miles becoming the Prowler, and we just got I think CinemaCon released some like feature footage. They did a kind of a trailer slash featurette of the upcoming third installment of the Spider-Verse, and apparently it's really going to be really like the fan reaction was really good at CinemaCon when Sony revealed it. So yeah, it's like full steam ahead with the next project, and we're going to finally see the resolution to Miles, and see the whole gang come together, right? The Spider-Verse gang. We'll see how it plays out, but yeah, I this is obviously not stuff I collect, so I do see the value of it though, and well, this one has some issues here. Got definitely some spine issues there, but still it can use a press. The color breaks are really, really few and kind of minute. So, yeah, still technically high grade book. Yeah, it's a great kiss cover there, at least. Someone will want this. It's a key book. So, yeah, these are all available for trade. And then now seeing them, it doesn't really, yeah, nothing in this pile that I just showed you is really like, it's not really, there's nothing compelling me to like keep it. So these are all going into the board trade pile. These two, I mean, I love Transformers, and I do love stuff like this. This has all the Transformer profiles here. Like the Insecticons, you see the Insecticon here. I think that's an Insecticon. I mean, yeah, all these like Dinobots on this cover. I love this cover. Gotta love stuff like that. And I picked this up just because I love the Transformers. Love the covers here, but I mean, I've resolved not to collect stuff like this because as much as I love the Transformers, it's like it's never really about the comics for the Transformers. It was more about the cartoons and the toys. So I don't know. It's like I've told myself G.I. Joe comics and Transformer comics is something I would not, not marry myself to. So I'm fine with trading stuff like this. these are two recent Green Lantern keys we picked up, and I may just hang on to these just to see where they go. So these ones I'm gonna hang on to because I just feel like if I were to trade them now, um, they don't really retain a lot of value, and these aren't really rare books. You see them everywhere, really. When you go digging and stuff, like Jens and I keep running into the books, like the Green Lantern books. But I just feel like we have yet to see these books. I've yet to see that are their true glory days yet. So we'll hang on to those. I guess these books kind of fall into that category as well. But for both these ones, I'm gonna probably keep in the trade pile. Try to just be like, hey, these books are gonna be sought after keys. This is our second copy of an Earp. Great chipmunk cover there. I forget what's key about this, but this is a key issue as well. Those are available. In fact, this great Sylvester cover here. These are some Action Comics doubles. So for the doubles, you don't need to. Yeah, these are like, I have better grades, and so we can kind of put this in the trade section here. And that is a nice Brian Boland cover here. There, the Catwoman, which is probably why we got it. Like, not because of the great cover that is. Case in point as well, we got this kind of for the same reason. But yeah, I'm fine with not having that. We also have Cloak and Dagger. I always kind of like the Cloak and Dagger because it really is like for those of you who know the Death and the Maiden. There's a hey, what's up, Jens? Um, there's a kind of a famous, I guess, folk tale. Death and the Maiden. Um, at least there's a great musical chamber music piece called Toad und Machen. It's like Death and the Maiden, and it's a beautiful piece. And I always like kind of associated this with that concept of this beautiful maiden being, she's kind of being protected by death, or it's a kind of this like intimate relationship between her and death, but they're not. Death is not really he's not killing her. He's just like there in the shadows, and it's this weird kind of romantic dynamic. Sort of morbid romantic dynamic. But yeah, I always kind of took that as why I was like this story. And yeah, the MCU is resetting, and I think when it does reset, I would imagine they're going to bring Cloak and Dagger to the this integrated continuity, right? Because when Marvel resets and they really are going to bring everything that was in the 25th anniversary sort of like comic realm, you know, Stan Lee 90s comics, they're going to bring all this stuff as one integrated timeline and universe. So yeah, this is definitely a spec book, and I'd get your copies now before they start Case in point, Dazzler, right? You gotta. This is a really beat up copy, but that's a big key right there. Another Bill Sienkiewicz uh, cover there. Ooh la la. What's going on with the Dazzler costume? And then, of course, we got stuff like John Romita artwork on the Iron Man, Spider Man cover. I may just have to keep that. At least get a better copy of it. But yeah, that's classic freaking goodness right there. Marvel team up Spider Man and Iron Man. I mean, what more do you have to say? Here are three words for you: Spider Man, Iron Man, Romita cover. That's 4 words, but you know my point. All right, all of that stuff is available to the lucky guy who trades me. All right, keeping it going here. There's not much here that I'm actually wanting to keep, which is a good thing. Um, Jens and I were just talking about this death metal series, and it's kind of cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. It's just I don't know why I was picking this up. I just really like the Capullo art. These are like foil covers. Um, I was picking this up for like cover price or half a cover and whatnot. So I was just like, why not? That's a cool Superman cover right there. You know. So yeah, that's available for sale or trade. And we got second appearance of Deadpool. With some spine issues there. Not terrible, not the best. Um, got a little corner crunch there. That's not good. So I mean, it's what like probably $3 book there then, and then also more Transformers. I think there's a key book. Some first appearances in this one. Into the Smelting Pool. Eesh. We've got some key DC issues here. Amanda Waller cover. We got Barbara Gordon goodness. I don't know. These are keys. We got more Inferno Silvestri. I love this cover back in the day. That is a sexy cover. We also got Adventures of Superman, the newsstand edition here. That I may keep. That I may keep. That's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool Tom Grummett cover. This is another one from my original collection, man. I mean, this was like Batman 500, Casada. This is like I don't even think it's a kind of like a gatefold cardstock cover here. This was, I think, there's a standard cover, and then this was sort of the more kind of niche variant cover here. But yeah, this one, there's a lot. I mean, this one, it's a dollar bin book. It's just but when I picked this up back in the day, it was like Batman 500, the milestone. Kind of a cool book, and it is like a really thick part of the Nightfall series. So I mean, it was a big book back when it came out. This was always kind of like first Green Arrow solo series. Cool Seattle reference there. I'm from Seattle, so I love covers like that. Um, yeah, this is kind of like the adult format. A lot of sex and violence in this one. This is another book that, like, you know, just like kind of people are waiting. Like when Green Lantern gets something, it's like this will this is the book people will target, but it's just never gotten to that point. Um, we got some Neil Adams, and I'm kind of I don't know, I'm kind of torn. It's like I don't want to trade this book, but at the same time, it's like can't just I can't just start. I gotta I think bring the Neil Adams, like just picking everything and anything Neil Adams, it's got to stop. So I think a good way to kind of get me out of it is to uh, make books like this available. You know, um, we'll see. Because if I'm only going to get $2 of value out of this in a trade, I'd rather keep it. Right? It's like it's either I'm going to get a good trade value out of it, or I'm going to keep it. So we'll see. It's kind of up in the air right now. Same holds true for this. This is just a great homage. Jurgen's cover here. Jurgen's cover. You got Maxima, who's she's being teased in the new Brainiac film. She's been cast, and this is just really good. You know, this is just a classic '90s cover. I'm sorry, this is right. I just feel like this is gotta stay. So we're gonna keep this one for now. Just this one also I picked up because of the Dan Mora artwork. Got the Wonder Woman there, just amazing. It was a dollar bin. It was $6.99 cover. I got it for $1 from Everett Comics. So we're fine with trading that for, I don't know, at least $3. That sounds fair. This is a book kind of picked up because of like potential spec value, and now we're basically got confirmation we're going to get some kind of Avengers versus X-Men battle in the upcoming, Avengers movies. So this one should heat up. Um, and then we've got some Michael Turner covers here. Oh man, I kind of want to keep that. The costumes there, that's pretty cool. Oh man, Starro cover. It's another, yeah. Just these just don't. At the end of the day, you kind of got to be like, the book's got to be more than just a pretty cover. At the end of the day, I think. And that feels like a weird thing to say, but yeah, I think I got to graduate from just collecting things just because they're cool to look at. Um, I'm growing. I'm growing. Comic books are forcing me to grow. We got some more Justice League action here. Ken McGuire goodness. We got Adam Hughes is right here. We got George Perez. Goodness. That's a classic looking cover right there. Should probably keep that one. We got some Mike Mignola DC. DC variant, reverse variant. This one, I'm fine with trading. I do want to get a lot of value out of this one because I love the idea of this book. It's the first appearance of the next generation. I mean, it's like Jean-Luc Picard, Data, Geordi. It's everybody. It's the whole crew of this first appearance of the updated Enterprise. Um, Talk about your '90s book. I mean, this is like when it came out too. It was like right around the time the series was really taking off. So this is a big book, and yeah, if I don't get full value for this, this is staying. This is staying because it's kind of like that Bart Simpson's book. It's like, you know, it's the kind of stuff that that should hold more value. It's only a $20 book, but think about what it is. It's like the first appearance of the next generation. Um, so yeah, more George Perez goodness. Oh man, this one, Kevin McGuire, goodness right there. That's another iconic cover here. Ugh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to trade that. This is another great cover here. That's another. It's a Twin Towers. Come on, it's the Twin Towers right there. Martian Manhunter. Looking at the Twin Towers. These are just great covers right here, and they're just not valuable books, you know. And of course, Lex Trump. the art of the deal. Um, this one we're keeping because I love me Lex. I love me these funky. That's a funky cover right there. That's, you know, that'll be hopefully. I mean, it's not a rare book by any means, but it should be like should be a fan favorite. Moving forward. All right. This is not my original copy, but I had this book back in the day, as most every other '90s collector. I picked this up because it was a cool newsstand edition. Um, Great Chris Bachalo. I love Chris Bachalo. This one actually has this like, I think this is the Ashcan edition as well. So it's kind of like, this is pure nostalgia. I love this team. You know, this was kind of like the young X-Men, right? It was like had all these great characters. And really, I think this series needs to get more love. It was really uh, great art, great story. Um, Again, a lot of cool characters. It just was. This is not a rare book, so that's the only thing holding this thing back. It's like, you know, just not a valuable book. um, we've also got this great Fabok. Uh, Fabok cover here, lenticular Flash, Batman. You got this uh, weird Barnes and Noble um, variant edition or whatever, the free Barnes and Noble edition. That's weird. Special edition. Another great Capullo cover. That's behind this. There's some. I should really be cautious because some of these are like. There we go. So we got this Dustin Wine cover. That's a cool cover right there. Yeah, this is like I don't need all the Batman and whatnot. Fanboy and I mean, not to rage bait, but I do want to put out a video with Fanboy. One that just be like, Batman sucks, kind of rage bait all the collectors out there to be like, he's such a boring character. He's such a, you know. Now, this one, I am trying to pick up there's two versions of this #1 cover. There's an A and a B cover, and um, it's one of Superman in the forefront, and then there's one of Batman, and this is the Batman variant, and there's a Superman variant. So there's two versions. Um, of course, I got the Batman in my collection. I am trying to get the Superman, so this one's available. I do like Ed McGuinness artwork at the end of the day. This is a key issue. It's a kind of a crossover. It's alluded. I mean, they basically intimate that this is Deadpool. They never really name him or do all that, but it's essentially uh, Deathstroke versus Deadpool in this book. Kind of a funny, um, unofficial crossover. Pretty cool. This is just a pure cover by Capullo Batman cover there. I love this. Love this cover. Probably, um, you know, probably the best artwork in this Capullo Snyder run on Batman. Um, Absolutely incredible. This is another book I've had in my collection. This is from my original collection. I had actually multiple copies of this. This is The Death of Aunt May. It was a big key when it came out. It still is a big key, I think. This is like the special um, die cut variant. It's got this embossed. You can kind of see Spider-Man, the embossing there. Really high grade book here. Also, again, get very nostalgic about this because I did like this era of. This is the Scarlet Spider era here, the 90s run on ASM milestone issue again. Um, Kind of a neat book, actually. But yeah, um, it's available for sale, as is this cool Dale Keown cover. Um, Again, if not for this just being a gajillion copies out there as a 90s book, all of these, right? All of these 90s books were overprinted. If not for that fact, these are definitely fan favorites that should probably um, go for more money. This one here, it's a key. It's the first cover of Grogu um, and Din Djarin. And then these are just great Bowman Animal Man covers that are just cool covers. we just don't need them taking space in our collection anymore. So there you go. So what I'm loving about this whole little exercise is that, um, I've done the legwork. It looks like I'm just reaffirming what I've already done. There's nothing really here that I'm feeling compelled to like, oh, we got to hang on. I mean, there were a few books, right? A few books that were like, oh no, we're hanging on to this one. Um, this is just great stuff. I feel like this would have been something I probably would have collected, um, if it weren't for the fact that I have too many comic books in my collection. Um, I definitely feel like if I could just collect what I wanted to collect, we'd just go crazy with the Judge Dredd, Ball and Judge Dredd covers. They're just fantastic, but we do have to kind of um, come to terms with what we want to limit, and that's just an awesome cover right there. I mean, this is what you would just define as like a cool piece, a cool comic cover. You got Judge Dredd and all these like just cool characters there. It is totally awesome, man. So yeah, I mean, got more Judge Dredd stuff here. Somebody's gonna want these. That's a great one. Russian and American Judge Dredds. That's Cold War. This was when the Cold War was actually cold. It was actually still very cold here. Got the gorilla cover there. We got more. We got more balling to show off. Captain Cold. Cool flash cover there. That's all good bowling stuff. We got some Frank Cho in the mix as well. These are all great covers. I just picked this one up for $1. Or no, what did we pick this up for yens? Do you remember? This was, I think, 50 cents. Picked it up for 50 cents, but it has the dollar sticker on there. So I'm all for parting with this book for $1. We've got some more Michael Turner goodness right there. Spider Woman. That's cool. More Identity Crisis. Cool stuff. Another Batman Bolin cover. That's actually one we might keep. That is kind of cool. Bolin Batman's always cool. Yeah, but we'll part with it. One of my doubles. That is an iconic cover right there. I just have doubles of it. This one we may keep. I do love me John Byrne. I just don't like, this is John Byrne inking himself, and I just feel like when John Byrne inks himself, it's like Jim Lee too. Jim Lee and John Byrne are two of my favorite artists, but when they ink themselves, it takes on it's just a different, it's a different feel to it. Still a beautiful cover though. I mean, look at that. This classic Burn stuff right there. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this one. I'm just gonna keep this one because I'm still up to trading it, but it's just, you know, I just like it. I like it a lot. Alright, we're almost through the box. One box. Got more books here. This is actually this is one of my, okay, so we got another Judge Dredd cover, Boland cover there. That's pretty cool. This is actually from my original collection as well. And the only reason I put it in my trade pile is because I actually got a signed copy of this. But the signed copy looks like the color is just drab. It looks like, I don't know, maybe it was been sitting out or got some. It's just drab. And this one, it's just so colorful. Like, this is my original copy. And it just pops. It's so colorful. And I kind of want, I like the way this looks, even though the signed copy, like, let me show you what I'm talking about. You know, like, we all have no reference. But let me just, so this is the, you can see, like, this is the signed book. And obviously I want to keep the signed book, right? It's like, but like, this is the way it should look versus, like, you see how the color pops here? Just a very vibrant. Now this is like a foil cover, but like the foil on this one, just for some reason, like the color just is like dull. And maybe it had been sitting out, or maybe something happened, maybe sun exposure or something. But my original copy looks so much better. It's beautiful. That's a beautiful cover right there. I may just keep this one. I, you know, got first Asian Superman as well. Bernard Changan is there. So we just may just keep these. I think I just have to keep these. The colorful. No, we'll trade it. We'll trade it away. Reluctant to trade it away. All right, we got some more Boland covers. There's a lot of Boland covers here. Gotta stop picking up Boland covers. I think that's the takeaway here. Some lucky Boland fan is gonna get all this stuff. And we got some Silver Age, Detective Comics, Carmine Infantino. Ooh, our first Peach Momoko book. That's. I was so crazy about Peach Momoko. I fell into her hard. So, yeah. We got the foil variant, the direct edition of Wildcats 2. We got 2 copies of this. I don't know who's going to want 2 copies, but 2 for the price of 1. We also got really, really clean cop. Well, there's a spine tick right there. It's fairly clean copies of Superman 78 and Action Comics 687. We got 10-cent Superman there. Scott Daniels goodness. Some Adam Kubert. I love this series here. This is really just like a love letter to Superman as well. Superman up in the sky. Really cool sort of miniseries showing the grit and perseverance of our favorite hero. He will try to save everybody. And then in this one, he's going to great lengths to save one little girl, which is what we'd expect our hero to do. If he can do it, he's going to try, right? So, really good. So he's a beautiful intruder as well. All right, well, yeah, the rest of these are Mark Silvestri stuff. This is Travis Share's first published artwork on this cover. We love Travis Share's stuff. Got this coverless Silver Age Batman from 1967. We got more Peach Momoko, man. That's a beautiful cover. We got some 90s cards. Flare, 94 Flare. It's kind of cool. The new Ghost Rider, Cable, Spider-Man 2099. That's it's got to be worth something there. We got a Gundam Wing. I actually really like this Gundam Wing. It's one of probably my favorite Gundam series from the 90s. This is peak 90s too. This series, really fun series. If you go back and watch, I mean, it's fun. It's like they have all these cool they're like different element. They represent different elements. Each Gundam with its own like little weapon system and everything, and then they've got all these like international pilots. Like this dude's Chinese. I think he's like British. He's also Chinese. This dude's like Dutch or something. And then of course Hiro is the Japanese dude. We got 2 copies of First Gen 13. Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee collab there. Don't sleep on that one. Don't sleep on that one. You just don't see that every day. Got some more Peach Momoko. Back during my Momoko phase. We got X-Men 1. Another Walt Simonson cover there. More Michael Turner goodness, along with some John Byrne goodness. And we got Will Spertasio in the house. More Mark Silvestri. There's your X-Men versus Avengers cover right there. That's 90s. That's 90s right there. 87 actually. This one needs a press. I may send this one to you, Jens, before we trade it. It's in need of a press. Got more Turner goodness there. More Silvestri stuff here. This Cyberforce, come on. You want to talk about like the 90s comics books that Image that were just hotter than all heck. Cyberforce. Don't forget that name, Cyberforce. All right, and we're gonna just kind of finish off the box with the Peach Momoko stuff. Some of it got X-23 and Daredevil. Some great Peach Momoko pieces there. We've got some Frank Cho She-Hulk booty. Frank Cho She-Hulk booty in the house. Booty cover. Someone's going to want that. We've got Amazing Spider-Man Peach Momoko, as well as Silk Peach Momoko. We've got more Mark Silvestri. That's a great Mark Silvestri cover right there. Along with Cyberforce. I think this was the ongoing series, if I'm not mistaken. Got some Ren and Stimpy Ashcan mini comic there. It's Gen 13, the Rave edition, as well as J. Scott Campbell. Goodness there. We got V the series. I love this series, man. Newsstand edition. Oh, I may keep this one. This one's just, yeah, we're keeping this one. That's just a big, God, I'm sorry. I can't. This one we may keep as well. Ah, it's beautiful. There are just certain Peach Momoko covers that are hauntingly beautiful, and I've just shown 3 of them. All right, this is something we don't need. This is a really cool Chrysanthemum Venom cover there. That's cool. We also got Amazing Fantasy 1000. Ah, beautiful Michael Turner cover there. We may keep this one. We may keep that one for obvious reasons. This one we could probably do without, although that's a pretty cool cover too. So we'll keep those ones. This one's fine to get rid of. This one's fine to get rid of. We have 2 of these for some reason. I don't know why. And that is that. That brings us to a close for all the trade related stuff. So yeah, what is it all in all, like the stuff we put in the trade pile pretty much stayed in the trade pile. And you know what? I'm fine with not keep. Kind of want to keep that one. It just has those spine issues, though. Like we're gonna run into this book again and again over the years. So maybe we pick up a nicer copy. This one, on the other hand, is just, it's only nice. I just love this cover. This was part of the 22 comics trade. 22 comics traded me this one. And this was when I was just fanboying on Peach Momoko stuff. I just love this cover so much. Yeah, this one we're keeping. It's just beautiful. So those 2, I mean, yeah, we'll keep the Peach Momoko. Those 2 books. All right, now we're going to go through sort of the short box of stuff. And I'm going to start here, kind of toward the beginning of this stuff. This back, here we go. All right, so we got some. I love this Alex Ross cover. Just a great cover there. The gargoyles. We're gonna keep the Sam Keith book for now. We keep. We've already decided we're gonna keep all these ones. We put the Superman book in the trade. This was a Superman day pickup, um, which I'm just gonna keep in the trade section because I don't know if anybody's gonna necessarily want a free book, but I'll just throw it in. Yeah, this Brood cover. Got to keep that one. We got to keep that one. That's just too good of a cover there. This Silver Surfer. I'm fine with parting with this one. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. In the trade section. So yeah, I know why I wanted to trade the Wolverines. I actually have this as a set. These are also two of my original books, so that's why I had the Wolverine in the trade section because I already had it a copy from my original collections, kind of separated. So that's why. Um, Really, the only reason I have this book is because actually there are a few reasons. It's a crossover of Marvel and Top Cow. So you got these great, you got Hulk, you got Ghost Rider, and um, you've got Witchblade, The Darkness, Doctor Strange. Yeah, this is like a key book. So I think I'm gonna hang on to this one. It's just a cool Mark Silvestri cover. Um, these are just cool covers here. I'm fine hanging on to this. This is first Venomized Wolverine, which is kind of just cool. We've also got this Neil Adams cover, 3D Rocketeer Neil Adams cover. And Neil Adams interiors on this one, by the way. Not something you see every day in terms of 3D art. That's just really cool. We've got actual First Bishop, and we've got these great covers, John Byrne. So these are all kind of like, I put them in the keep box, and we're still wanting to keep them. So yeah, for the most part, these are we're gonna hang on to these ones a little longer. I'm actually going through it right now. Just take out the stuff that maybe will. I think a lot of this John Byrne stuff. I don't know. I love John Byrne, and I just this is just too much goodness right here. I just can't bring myself to like parting with all these fantastic covers here. Yeah, I'm gonna keep all this stuff. All the Byrne stuff is staying as long as we can keep it. So I'm just gonna go through it so we can save some time here. Yeah, excuse me, most of the stuff I vetted, so it is all stuff I want to keep. Let me just show you this. I mean, a lot of it I just kind of thumbed through, but let me give you just a. Again, this is stuff I'm willing to trade at some point, but it's also stuff like I really like and want to keep. So we're gonna just hang on to it a little longer and not technically make it a part of the trade stuff until we can actually trade the trade stuff first. But we got stuff like this. That's a cool. This one here, the Sienkiewicz Batman cover. I mean, talk about your all-star list from 1987. What is it, 80, 86? Talk about your all-star cast of artists here. We got pretty much everybody that was anybody in 1986. Um, that is a Hall of Fame list right there. And yeah, you got an introduction by Stephen King. And what more do you want? That's a keeper right there. Yeah, all this stuff is just freaking amazing. That's right here. David Finch. Batman 700. That's good stuff. I mean, technically, I don't collect Batman, but I think I do. Part of me still does. Like Batman. Even though I tell myself I don't do. This is, that's just a sick cover right there. That Adam Hughes. I picked this up for like free. This was just thrown in as um, it was just thrown in from the dollar bin. The lady was just nice enough to add it to my offer of books that I had. A bunch of Alex Ross here stuff that we're keeping. And got some Jimmy Lee stuff that we're keeping. Some Baldwin stuff. And yeah, a lot of this is just cover art stuff that I like. So some of this we recently picked up, but you know, I showed off some Bolin covers that we're fine with trading. Well, here are some Bolin covers that I'm not fine with trading. There you go, and we're keeping that one. Keeping that one. Keeping that one because this is a homage to Superboy cover, Silver Age Superboy cover. So, for those of you who know, you know. If you don't, I'll rehash it at some point. This is a 50-cent book that we just fell in love with. So, and then this wraparound Bolin cover, um, Vertigo book. Good stuff right here. Yeah. Good stuff right there. Late 90s. Late 90s goodness right there. Late 90s. Look at that. Yes, we're keeping that stuff. So. Yeah, all of these are kind of like vetted for cover art and whatnot. So. Not too much stuff in here that I want to trade out for now. I think, I don't know. I think I'm okay with trading this one, even though it's Ah, so good though. I'll keep it. Batman, Superman stuff I keep. Identity Crisis. Oh, so I do have a nicer copy of the Identity Crisis already in here. What do you know? So it looks like I had doubles of this, which is why I had that other one in the other box. This one's the nicer copy, so there you go. Um, I was like, why am I giving up this fantastic cover? Because I have two of them, that's why. Alright, and now we have some facsimiles here. Kind of gave up. So there was a point where I came like maybe 4 to 5 times. I came really close to pulling the trigger on the Neil Adams Joker cover, and we were, I could have picked up a copy of this for like I think 175, kind of in the 2.5 or no, I want to say like 3.0 range. But I couldn't really tell. It was like pictures and stuff like that. So, and then we had an opportunity to pick it up. Um, Agu, he has like a graded copy. I think it was like a 3.5 or 4. He wanted 400 for it. Um, I think I could have talked him down a little bit to maybe 350. Um, but we never pulled the trigger on it. And it was a span of like 2 summers where I just like, I'm gonna pick this book up. I'm gonna pick this book up, and it never happened. We picked up a better book, actually, for less than what we probably would have spent on this book, and I'm fine with that. I don't need to really have this. I'm fine with the facsimile edition. I feel like it's like still gives me all the enjoyment from the original art. Um, Without spending all the money. But yeah, we've got sort of this reprint of Watchmen. It's a better cover, in my opinion, than the actual Watchmen book. Although the bloody smiley face pin is iconic. Take nothing away from the first print cover, but that's a pretty cool cover too. But yeah, I've got a reprint of, or not reprint, so I guess it's a reprint of 300. um, that scratches the 300. I never wanted to spend like, you know $300 to $500 on this book for like a, probably what would be like a mid-grade copy. Never had any, it just never entered my brain that it's a great cover. It's a key issue and all that. I just don't see the value in it. I don't see why you'd spend all that money for that book. Um, I do like this cover better, and it's just an homage, um, all black version there. Yeah, these are two books that I, I mean, I do want them. It's just again, kind of the same notion. Like I can't justify ever spending the money to bring these into my collection when I'm really, first and foremost, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I do love John Romita, but like I would love First Punisher. But $1,000 for first Punisher, I just don't. It just not. I don't know. It just would not make me feel good. Um, this is the so for those of you who know this issue, they did a vote phone call in, so you could call in this number and vote whether you wanted to see Robin dead or alive. And they had two stories ready to publish, one where he lives, survives, and then one where he's killed off. And the fans, of course, kill him off. And we never got to see the version where he survives. Well, they finally released it after like 20 some odd years. And this is the version where Jason Todd survives. So I thought that was cool. I had to get it when it came out, and it's a cool. And this is just another, book I'll probably never own. So the next best thing is kind of a modern facsimile of it. I don't think I think I paid cover price for all of these ones, if I'm not mistaken. I also love these Marvel Milestone editions. These are the reprints from my era of collecting. We're talking about the kind of the late '80s. Um, I love this one, the Giant Size X-Men. Again, obviously a big book here. I thought about spending $1,000, maybe $2,000 to pick up this book. I do think you know, it would be kind of like a, you know, low, low to mid grade um, for that book in that price range. I I don't know. I just For me, like, collecting was never about collecting like big key issues, like high price key issues. Um, so I just never felt like it was worth spending all that money just to have this book. I mean, obviously it's a cool book. It's definitely kind of worth that money for what it is, I think. But you know, like, where do you stop after you have Giant Size X-Men 1? Where do you stop? Do you want to pick up Fantastic Four #1? It's like just having X-Men, that that Giant Size edition. Is that going to bring you some kind of notoriety as like having a key that a lot of people have? So for me, it was never a book I want. This is cool. This is a book I read and recently added. But yeah, I read this is just a really cool issue. It's kind of like a synopsis of all the cool GI Joe comics that came out that year, and this one has like the U.S. versus, sorry, the U.S. Red October team up, the Russian and the U.S. team up, as well as synopsis of all the kind of the silent, well, post silent issue type backstory on Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I mean, this is just like that's like pure childhood nostalgia right there. It's the only reason we have it. It's not like a big book or anything like that. So, this one we're gonna talk about this one because I just feel like we talk about this one. So yeah, we're gonna keep the reprints for now. But I'm not tethered to the reprints. So I love Boba Fett. I think anybody who grew up as a kid watching Star Wars. If you watched Empire Strikes Back, it was you just it was just it was Boba Fett. It's all about Boba Fett. Gotta find it. Yeah, I'm finding it. Okay, I'm rid of that exposure form. Okay, it's a really nice copy, so someone will appreciate that. I'm gonna keep Angela. I'm gonna keep Daredevil. Alright. That is going back in here. Oh, it's getting late. Alright, we're wrapping up here. Um, I love Boba Fett, and it's just because you love something sometimes doesn't mean you necessarily like. For example, this is the whole Transformers GI Joe uh, thing is a great kind of. I guess it's a little bit of analogous as to what I'm trying to the point I'm trying to make. Um, Now GI Joe is an exception. Um, for me, GI Joe was the cartoon first and foremost, and then you started picking up the toys. It was a cartoon. It was like a movie cartoon um, series, and then you start picking up the action figures. Action figures are really kind of where the love affair solidifies. But in between all that, there were the comic books, and so it was definitely a part of that entire experience because you got um, for me, it was like I had the cartoon and then I had the toys, and then we got into like the silent issue. Then we got into the origin, and it just added so much more depth to the comic books. Were actually way better than the cartoon, and the action figures were their own thing. It was just very cool to have the action figures because there were just so many different characters. They all had little different backpacks and weapons, and you collected the little profile cards. The profile cards are just incredible. But yeah, the comic books added more depth to the entire kind of story and run. So for me, like I can't disassociate GI Joe from the comic books. They're it's all part of the same thing. So if you love GI Joe, you have to love the comic books. And the Silent Issue is my favorite comic book of all time. And I read a lot of comic books, and it still holds true. So it's weird because I love Superman, but my love for Superman didn't evolve from comics. It evolved from the film, and it kind of leaked into comic books. I'm now very in love with Superman comics, but the initial love affair was independent of comics. Um, and GI Joe, not that case. GI Joe was like the comics were what fueled my love of GI Joe. Transformers, you'd think it'd be the same, right? You'd think, oh yeah, Transformers. I didn't even know there was a Transformers comic. I didn't even know. I think it would be like many, many years later till I realized, oh, they had a Transformers comic. Transformers was all about the cartoons. It was all cartoons and the toys. And G.I. Joe, kind of the same thing, but where it differed is the G.I. Joe comics were really cool. I can't speak to the Transformers comics. To be honest, I never read a Transformer comic. I don't have no interest in reading a Transformer comic. I do own the first Optimus Prime Transformer comic, though, ironically. Um, but that's more because it's like cool. But yeah, it's like I don't collect Transformers comics. I don't even collect GI Joe comics. I love my silent issue. I will never part with that issue that I have, but I don't want to collect additional stuff from GI Joe. In fact, even that yearbook, um, and I had the Origin of Snake's Eyes. It was a two-part comic book, but that Origin comic book when I was, I mean that I had read that to like tatters, um, and those were just two of my favorite books. Um, in that, I want to say it's a GI Joe like the 20s, like the 20s was just like kind of I was pretty much had read that entire run of GI Joe. I mean, it's like where Zartan and all these like cool characters are eventually introduced. Kind of peak GI Joe stuff. And Larry Hama was just absolutely in the kitchen cooking with peak GI Joe comic book stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's a separation there. GI Joe comics, toys, whereas Transformers, it's just cartoons, toys. And the point I'm trying to make is like you can love something and it doesn't necessarily translate into comics. Star Trek The Generation is a great example. I love Star Trek The Next Generation. I have the first appearance in the comics, but there's no real correlation there, right? It's just like, it's kind of like V the series, too. I had the first appearance of the V the series comic book, but it was a television show. It was a great television show. It comes along in comics. Do you really need to collect that thing? Dune, do I really need to see that it was a movie, right? Do I really need to have the first appearance of Dune in comic books? It's kind of one of those things. It's like just because you like a thing doesn't mean you need to collect it in comic books. And that's kind of where I landed with this because when you know, let me pull it out here. First off, it is great artwork, uh, and this is stuff from the '90s as we were collecting. We kind of yeah, but all this stuff here. I don't know why I got this from I got this off of eBay. I overpaid for it. Um, yeah, I overpaid for it, but it's pretty cool. But like all these books here, like I kind of like wanted to have the first solo Boba Fett series. And this is all like part of the same run here. You got the half issue, which you had to mail away with this for to Wizard for, and then you have this um, mini series here. This is the actual first solo series for Boba Fett. These are all like, I think, this was during an era where um, anyone who licensed the Star Wars thing could write about it. It wasn't like technically Star Wars canon, but yeah, it had took a lot of liberties with um, sort of the approach to the character, and yeah, sort of the comic book equivalent of being able to build upon what were like fan favorites, right? So, um, and then we got this book which has a lot of issues, but it was when like Black Chrysanthemum was really hot, and I just got it because it was actually it's a near mint copy. It's just like it looks like it has issues because it's mimicking the kind of this sort of action figure, right? It's kind of like mimicking it. Oh yeah, like it's supposed to be some kind of plastic there that where the action figures you kind of rip off to own. I actually have this Darth Vader with the flimsy cape, and when you took the cape off, he looked kind of naked. And anyway, it was just a poorly made action figure at the time, but he had this little dark thing. Kind of, you could pull out the lightsaber. It was constantly like pulling it in and out. It was not something you put in the hand, but it was just there that you could pull out, um, which is, I guess, cool, I guess. But yeah, all this stuff is just really nostalgia kind of purchases, and I kind of disassociate my love of Star Wars with the comics. I just feel like I like Star Wars. I don't collect Star Wars. I know a lot of people do, and that's okay. I do have some big Star Wars keys in my collection, actually, that I'm not really looking to trade. And this one even was like, I love Boba Fett to an extent. It was like, I want to have these as part of my collection. But I think I'm good with now just doing away with these books. And I know some Star Wars collectors that are really appreciate these more than I am. So there you go. This is the last of the trade books, and I'm going to your trade pile, and someone else is going to enjoy these really classic 90s Boba Fett covers and books. So there you go. Pretty full trade box there. There you go. And I've done my vetting. There's nothing in here that I'm necessarily gonna regret down the road. I think I've done a pretty good vetting session there. I have kept all the stuff I want to keep and done all the stuff I want to do with that. So it is what it is. I don't think I have to Why am I not? Here we go. Um, yeah, so that box right there, the one we just filtered through, um, I am keeping a lot of the stuff still, like the cool cover art, the John Burns stuff, the Michael Turner, sort of the cooler, more dynamic covers for my favorite artists. But yeah, a lot of the stuff like the Boba Fett stuff, the Star Wars, the Black Chrysanthemum, you know, book. Um, all the sort of the Bolin stuff I picked up was not as cool to me. um, and some minor keys and whatnot stuff. Um, some of my original books, I decided, hey, Cable, Sabretooth, those things I'm fine to part with. The hope here is to trade the whole thing, the bulk of it, for maybe equivalent, um, just like one or two equivalent books in terms of value. I know that's a hard trade, especially given that it's a hodgepodge of stuff. But, I know Big B was kind of down to do something like that previously, and there's a lot of books in there that I think, I know there's some books there that Big B didn't want, but there's also additional books in there that I think Big B would, be willing to incorporate into a trade. So hopefully he's down to do that again. Um, I think there's a lot of value there, and again, I'm willing to kind of give it its minimum or its fair trade value, um, kind of like below its, fair market value. Um, and give him the max value on his stuff so that it kind of balances itself out. I don't mind giving up value if it's kind of some items I do want. So that's a lot of books right there to purge in one go. So yeah, I mean, also, there's a prospect of meeting some other addition, like hopefully. So let me just backtrack here. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Um, so right now, Jens and I are figuring out the timing of going to Portland. And our goal is to just, because, we've kind of been hitting up all the spots here. We kind of know what's what. And again, there are two big comic shows coming up this summer, or I shouldn't say this summer. One this summer, it's the FenCom Expo. That's in August. A lot of the retailers here, a lot of the local sellers here, it's a show. There'll be a lot of discounted stuff there. We kind of are planning to go there as like a last resort thing, but we're gonna have our summer budget for comics. At least I am. I think Jens is a little bit more of like, you know, if he, he has a little bit more bandwidth in terms of what he can spend and pick up. But I have like, I'll probably have $200, maybe 300 for the summer. Just have to see how generous my wife is feeling. But yeah, we're gonna have a summer budget, and I'm gonna take the trade books down with us. So if I'm not trading with people, I may be trading with the shops that we visit, and I don't mind giving up again some trade value just to get something I want into the collection. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna not, if they try to lowball me, no way. I want them to like. I'm willing to give up value, but they need to give a fair value. So I'm gonna go down there with a specific, like, this is what I want for the books in terms of trade value. If I can't get it, then you know I won't be spending as I won't be doing as much or spending as much here, right? Kind of leverage it that way. Um, but also, we, we're hoping to meet up with Big B. We're hoping, you know, um, Psychotronic Skirt Gun. Uh, we're going to invite him, or at least try to coordinate the time when he's available to go down and do the same thing. And he's welcome to, you know, um, sleep in our, because we're going to get a hotel room, just stay overnight when we get there, and really make it like a 2 day hunt in Vancouver and Portland, Vancouver, Washington, and Portland. And if Aaron's down to do that with us, he's welcome to ride along with us and join us as we do this. And we'll see. And of course, Aaron has all those like DC books that I didn't get to, trade with him last time. So he's another guy who's like, he's got a lot of the books I want. Um, and hopefully, he has some bigger books. I'm just hoping he has like somewhere stashed in all his treasures. He has maybe some graded Silver Age Superman stuff, or like some Neil Adams, like key stuff. But yeah, we'll pick his brain and see if he's willing to go down first and foremost with us, and then also bring his trade books along. Because once we're down, like the three of us going down with our trade books, and we meet some of the people down there who also have books that they'll be willing to trade. We're just hoping we get kind of like a community gathering kind of going where we can hit these shops together, but also trade amongst ourselves on the sidelines, while we're grabbing dinner or something, just kind of hanging out into the night. So it's going to be just, obviously, it's, the more people, the more the merrier. The more people we have who come out and we're able to go hunt and just, spend the day with. And we're hoping to, connect with Damien. Damien and I messaged each other, and I think the weekend we were planning to go down, it seemed like he was busy. But now Jens and I are thinking of maybe going down around mid-July, which is kind of later than we wanted to go. We wanted to go kind of earlier because I just know when I get the money, it's just going to be burning a hole in my pocket to like pick up something. And I've been on eBay already. It's just I don't even have the budget. I'm already looking on eBay and like thinking like, where can we spend this? And it's not healthy. So I definitely want to like go down there sooner rather than later. But yeah, we're targeting anywhere from late June to like mid-July. We obviously want to avoid Independence Day weekend. It's a big travel weekend. It's just going to be harder to book rooms anywhere. So it'll be either before Independence Day weekend or after Independence Day weekend, maybe the week after. Um, but again, it all depends on how we coordinate this thing. So, you know, we're hoping, you know, Bronze Age Nerd joins us. We're hoping to connect with Damien. We're hoping to connect with the Portland crew, like John Bueller. Um, Obviously, uh, Big B's down there in Vancouver, so we'll be in his neck of the woods. We're going to hopefully try to coordinate around his availability. And the cool thing is, Big B does sort of these weekend shows and whatnot. Hopefully, we can kind of like maybe take our stuff and kind of sell alongside him if he's open to doing that. That'd be a cool way to kind of like at least hang out with him, trade amongst ourselves, and then try to sell off stuff that um, you know that'd be a fun way to just spend the day, actually, just kind of being in an area where there's other sellers, but also kind of trying to sell off our books as well. um, but yeah, Jens and I definitely want to devote one day outside of trading and doing all this community stuff to like actually like running around town. We got to run around Portland and Vancouver. So it's like, again, like it's a lot of driving. And, you know, honestly, I'll be happy if within one day we're able to hit up maybe 4 shops, just start at the place that opens earliest and then just go to the place that's open latest and try to hit up everything that day. But we have a second day too, so it's going to take a lot of planning, coordinating. We already have a list of shops we want to kind of focus on. Thanks to Damien, who uh, gave us his recommendations. But yeah, let me know. There's a lot of people locally I've connected with as well. So if you're watching this, you're local to Western Washington, and you want to join us for this summer kind of road trip down to Portland, where we hope to like trade with community members and just have a good time, grab bite to eat, hunt for comic books, trade amongst ourselves, and you know, it'll just be a fun thing to do this summer. So yeah, again, if you're catching this on the rewind, or you want to get to be in this area or in the Portland area, definitely message me because, yeah, like I said, got some books I want to trade, I want to get rid of. Willing to give up a lot of value for that entire box, as long as it translates into something worthwhile for both of us, and we'll go from there. So, yeah, I got again. I think I got a little bit more inventory type stuff to do, but that's a good place to kind of focus on selling and trading for this summer. And again, we plan to do stuff in Portland and Vancouver over the summer, and it'll be fun. It'll just be a fun time. So, yeah, um, thanks for watching me do this inventory session, and thanks for hanging out. We'll see you in the next one. It's getting late. I'm tired. Good night. We'll see you maybe here on Friday. All right. Peace out.